For today's Adrenalin Shot, I welcome Ashton Bishop of Step Change Marketing. Hello, Ashton.
Morning, Dawn.
We've got a bit of a time difference between us. It's 7:30 a.m. here for me in Perth, and over your side, you're now 3 hours ahead of me. Is that right?
Yep, early start for us.
It is indeed. All right. So let me introduce Ashton to you, and then I'm going to ask Ashton a couple of questions about something called predatory marketing. So, Ashton, you're Australia's predatory marketing specialist, an expert in pinpointing how brands can grow by outsmarting their competitors. However, your path, I gather, has not always been a usual one. Is that right?
A few weaves on the
A
way,
few
yeah.
weeks along the way. It says here, after graduating with a commerce degree, you turned your hand to street performing, TV presenting, stand-up comedy, film directing, and even literally ran away with the circus. Fortunately, Ashton found his niche in marketing, where he spent the last 14 years working internationally on some of the world's biggest brands. He's a business owner, serial entrepreneur, challenging, sometimes even controversial, but always focused and gets results. So he runs multi-million-dollar campaigns for billion-dollar brands, created Australia's first mobile app, won film awards, guest lectured at leading universities, and has won Speaker of the Year for Australia's #1 CEO network, The Executive Connection, on multiple occasions. So welcome, Ashton.
Thanks, Dawn.
Now, tell me about predatory marketing. How did you first come across predatory marketing?
So they say that when people have years of experience, you can either have 20 years of the same experience over and over again, or you can actually have different and diverse experience. And I met one of my mentors, a guy called Dave Trott, when I was in London, and he introduced me to this concept of predatory marketing that he invented. And with the 18 months under Dave's tutelage, I learned probably more than the other 18 years of my marketing career combined. It's really such a powerful concept, and I'm really excited to share it this morning. So Dave Trott's the guy if you want to get some background on it.
Okay, fantastic. So what was it that Dave actually introduced you to? What's the definition, if you like, of predatory marketing?
So predatory marketing says most people don't understand the way marketing works, and they don't understand the ratio of 147. That says if it costs $1 to keep an existing customer, it costs $4 to cross-sell them into something else. It costs $7 to acquire a new customer. So most of the marketing dollars are spent acquiring new customers, but they're out there with this same old adage saying we need to satisfy our customers' needs. And what they don't understand is something called the 5/9 law. So the 5/9 law says 5/9 of marketing is misattributed to the brand leader. And if we play that game here, I say, if you see an ad for a soft drink, you don't quite catch the ending, who's the ad for?
Coca Cola?
Absolutely. If you see an ad for a toothpaste, you don't quite catch the ending, who's the ad for?
Colgate, probably, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Just see how that works. So
Yeah.
most of the challenger businesses, which is the space that we work into, they don't need to satisfy a customer's need because the need's satisfied. They need to use predatory marketing. So predatory marketing is simple, it's just not easy. So it's defined as strike at the weakness that arises out of your competitor's greatest strength. They don't strike where they're strong, don't strike where they're weak, strike at the weakness that arises out of the greatest strength. So it's a little bit tricksy.
So can you give us an example of that so that people can understand what you mean by the weakness that arises out of their greatest strength?
Okay, so when we're predatory, we look at four questions in sequence. We first of all say, who's got your money? So how are we going to grow? We then say, what's their greatest strength? What's the weakness within that? And where can we strike a relative advantage that leads to an idea? So they're the 4 steps. One of the examples we talk about a lot is McDonald's. McDonald's versus Burger King. So this is when there was a whole bunch of number 2s back in the 70s. So there was Wendy's, Jack in the Box, a whole bunch of other burger joints. So Burger King look at McDonald's and they say they've got our money because McDonald's was undisputable #1.
Yeah.
So they say, what's McDonald's greatest strength? And at the end of the day, it's fast, cheap, tastes of cardboard. But that means that the essential win for McDonald's is consistency. What sort of speed, what type of cardboard. And just about, you might get a Burger Royale in France or no cow in India, but just about anywhere else on the planet, it's the same. So look at the weakness that arises out of that. And the weakness is twofold. Is one, that if the Big Mac is for everybody, the heavy users are the 16 to 24-year-olds and they want self-identity. The second thing is if you ever tried to have the pickles taken out of a Big Mac, the register goes off and the line stops and everybody carries on.
Yeah.
So Burger King got very good at taking out the pickle, changing the sauce. And if the Big Mac was for everybody, the Whopper was for you.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's
so that
right.
went
So
out
sort of
in
like have it your way.
Yeah, that was the 1974 line that you can remember. Have it your way.
That's right.
So 1974, McDonald's since then had been trying to counter, and it's basically a 40-year predatory advantage, not competitive advantage, but a predatory advantage. And that meant for people who wanted to have their Whopper for them, there's some wonderful content that Burger King did online of just showing how emotionally attached people were to the Whopper. So that's just one example.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So how would someone go about figuring out, I guess, how do I do this? How do I actually sort of figure out what is predatory marketing? Who do I look to for my competitors?
So it's a really great question, Dawn. So first of all, we need to look for and answer that question, who's got your money?
Yeah.
See, a market leader should generally grow the category, but a challenger should take brand share. So the way we look to is we say, is there one large competitor who's slow, out of touch with their customers, or somebody who's just a low-hanging fruit, who's very disconnected from their customers? So we want to make sure that we're looking at the biggest opportunity for us, which is often the lowest hanging fruit or the largest slice of the pie.
Yes.
Once we've figured out that, we look honestly and we say, what's their greatest strength? What do people go to them for? The tricky bit is then when we flip the other way and we say, for every strength, there is a weakness inherent within it.
Yeah.
And that's often narrowing out a niche or finding somebody who that doesn't appeal to. So for every strength, there's a counterpoint. And once we find that and we cut into a relative advantage, that's when predatory opportunities just strike through.
And you know what? That is your 5 minutes to the dot. Thank you so much, Ashton Bishop, for joining us today. We'll look forward to seeing you online again soon.
Thanks, Dawn.
Thanks
Have a
very
great
much.
Day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.